When I saw all the drama unfolding, they had Tyronn Lue being fired, and then you clean house with the Cleveland Browns with Hugh Jackson and also Todd Haley. You know who I thought of? I thought of our old buddy Bill Livingston, semi-retired sports columnist, spent 34 years of a 47-year career at the Cleveland Plain Dealer. Bill, is this why you retired, or do you wish you were still full-time?
Actually, Dan, the reason I retired was the killing hours at Ohio State games, which is what I did most of the falls because of the NASCAR-sized crowd. You had to get there early, and you stayed late, and there was enormous traffic jams. It was just, and sometimes, if a game started early enough, you had to drive home after that, and it just got to be and that and the Cavs' annual 2-month run in the playoffs with equally long hours as the playoffs wore on.
Okay.
Just got to be too much.
But you got this, in the span of 24 hours, you're firing 2 head coaches.
Yeah.
All right.
One deserved and one not so deserved.
Well, do you think that it's beneficial to Tyronn Lue that he got out of this mess, even though he didn't deserve to be fired after 6 games?
Well, probably in the big picture, but it was outrageous to fire him after 6 games. I saw another coach. I covered another team I don't cover them now, but I do write 5 columns a month. But when I was covering the 76ers, Gene Shue was fired after 6 games. But that was because of off-the-court politics more than anything. I think the guy's a proven coach. He changed the approach of the Cavs team to play faster and shoot more threes, which I thought was like leaning into a hook by Joe Frazier because that's what the Warriors did, and they made an unprecedented comeback and won the championship, and the first one in 52 years here. And people kind of said, well, he's a personnel coach. Well, so is everybody. Look, Steve Kerr said that when he said he wasn't surprised Lou got fired because he said we're all at the mercy of what kind of players we have. He ran a lot of isolation plays for LeBron and Kyrie Irving because they were both great players in isolation sets. An isolation set 3 won the championship by Irving.
But do you think we should be looking more at the ownership here with the Cavs and the Cleveland Browns?
That was what my column was. Yeah, Dan Gilbert. Yeah, he has been, he's liked here in town because he spent the money. Mm-hmm. But he did spend the money on players. But he has never spent the money on his front office people. I don't think he's ever extended a general manager. And the decline began only a few days after they failed to defend in 2017 when he let David Griffin, who was really well respected and had done a great job, mm-hmm. and was actually thought he was on the way to getting Paul George here. He let him walk away. He wouldn't give him the raise he deserved. And LeBron had hoped that they would bring Kyrie to training camp and try to work things out, and they traded him, as I wrote yesterday, for injured Isaiah Thomas and some magic beans to conference rival Boston, and that didn't sit well with LeBron. And also, besides the fact that he had family and business interests in L.A., he never forgot that email that Gilbert sent out. These two guys were divided racially, culturally, and politically. And quite frankly, LeBron thought he was a small man in stature and in character.
He's talking about Dan Gilbert with small
Dan
man.
Gilbert,
okay.
Yes.
Right. With the Browns situation, is this?
LeBron liked and respected Lou. More than any other coach he had. Yeah.
The Browns
players respect former players, and Lou was more contemporaneous than Paul Silas, his first coach.
As far as the Browns situation, why now?
Oh, it's the bye week. They're not. Haslam had been hiring and firing so many guys that had been a revolving door, and I think he wanted to pledge some stability, but it just wasn't happening with Hugh. I mean, the Browns had always been the most loved by the fans here. It sort of escapes me given the last 20 years of why. But, the Indians had been to World Series and the Cavs had been to 4 straight finals and won a championship. And the Browns had discovered always the lowest in performance, had discovered the way to go to record lows. I mean, can you imagine a guy with a 1-31 record?
I know.
Keeping his job, and he was 336-1 at the time he was finally fired.
But that's why I said
why
why
inner office politics.
But why now?
Well, because it's the bye week. It's midseason. They can do whatever magic they think they're going to do with
There's no magic with Greg Williams.
Well, it's the Browns, But I can't possibly defend keeping this guy with the record he had. He never should have been brought back.
I agree.
On January 31, I think a lot of people know this around the country, but on January 31 of this year, it was Hugh Jackson Day. Because that's 1-31.
1 win, 31 losses. Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
Had his own very day, just like Reggie Jackson had a month in baseball.
Yeah. I'm just trying to. Is this job desirable? Which job is more desirable, the Browns or the Cavs?
Right now I might say the Browns because of Baker Mayfield. Yeah. I think Mayfield is going to be a really good player, and I haven't really said that about most of the other quarterbacks they've had. I did have high hopes for Johnny Manziel, and boy, that was a swing and a miss. Yeah. But I do think he's considered to have been a very good pick around the league, and they have a pretty good defense. There was no spirit around it with Hugh, and he was a buck passer, and all you could get from him was platitudes. And incredibly, he threw Isaiah Crowell under the bus after he ran for 59 yards and said, "Well, anybody, you and I, and any of us in the media room could run through that hole." And well, Hugh probably could have beat me easily, but I think I could have taken anybody in a leg cast or on a walker. But it was just stupid to have done that, and it really offended Crowell, who made nicey nice a couple of weeks later. But why would you do that? He was your best run. Why did they trade Hyde? I know they wanted to give Chubb more carries, but Hyde is a tremendous short yardage player. Why not have both guys? I don't understand a lot of the stuff they do. They've been terrible for 20 years for a reason, and just with Mayfield, maybe there's some light finally.
Yeah, hopefully you get in a coach who has respect and has proven success, and you get in an offensive coordinator who is going to be able to get in Baker Mayfield's ear, sort of like Sean McVay with Jared Goff. I think you're
never going to get you're probably not going to get a head coach here. Mangini was one, but why would you take this job? It's the most forlorn franchise in the league. It'll probably be another coordinator, and hopefully one that is on the rise and that can get it done.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I hold out hope. I mentioned that maybe Mike McCarthy and the Packers separate. Divorce, and then he's got a relationship with John Dorsey, and maybe get a chance to work with a quarterback.
It is one of 32 jobs in the NFL.
Yeah.
I remember when the Indians were awful in the 80s before the resurrection with the new ballpark. Dan O'Brien, the executive vice president, said once, "This is the last stop before the desert." Well, that's what the Browns are now.
Bill, hope semi-retirement is treating you well, and thank you for joining me.
Dan. Thank you for having me, as always.
All right, bud. That's Bill Livingston. Semi-retired. Man, that'd make me want to come back, I think. 34 years there writing about Cleveland sports and the Cleveland Plain Dealer.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.